So a minute ago, you talked about things to consider when buying an airplane, and one of those things was where you're going to house the airplane, let alone where it's going to get worked on, all that sort of thing, where you house it. Tell me a little more about your business, the A to Z, including finding a hangar. You live in a really busy metropolitan area. There may not be any hangar space available for X number of miles. Walk through what you do as a whole as a company. Talk about hangaring and things of that nature.
And you're right, especially in the Southeast, hangar space is very limited. So one of the things that we do early on with a client is encourage them to find hangar space. We have clients that actually have hangars months before they have airplanes, just so they know that they'll have hangar space. So what makes Jet Acquisitions different than a typical broker or a listing agent is that we represent the buyer, and we represent them in the process of buying an aircraft. So it's not just, for a lack of a better way of saying it, we're not selling airplanes. We're leading someone through the process of buying one. So we do address issues like hangar space and insurance and maintenance, all of those considerations that go into buying an aircraft. And we're proactive. We have a very long checklist, longer than a checklist for any airplane, that we go through so that our clients are thinking about these things well in advance of when that is needed. Hangars, great example. If you're buying an airplane and plan to have one in 3 or 4 months, you better start looking for a hangar now, because you may be on a waiting list to get that hangar. Same with maintenance facilities. Where you're located in the United States of America may determine what your options are for maintenance. If you're in the Southeast, then you've got great options with Stevens Aerospace. If you're in the West, then you're going to have more limited options. And like Andy said earlier, you have people traveling from all over the U.S. to come to your maintenance facility. So from our standpoint, it's advising our clients which maintenance facility to use and which ones to avoid. Just like anything else, there are companies that are varying degrees of good, or in some cases varying degrees of bad. So if you're new to aviation, how do you know if this maintenance facility is up to speed, if their mechanics are properly trained, if they're doing the work and doing it correctly? That's you can't get reviews on Yelp for a maintenance facility and rely on that. That's where the tribal knowledge comes in. Right. Years in this industry. Just had a client call yesterday, airplane AOG in Arlington, Texas, and mentioned the shop, and I had to tell him I've never heard of it. So I picked up the phone and I called my guy that has been in that area for 30 or 40 years, knows everybody. He'd never heard of him. Maybe a great shop, right, but we don't know. So we suggested a different path.
Well, along that path, Stevens has been in the same position where even though we've been around for 70 plus years, there are dozens of aircraft and aircraft models within the major companies that we work on. There are some that we don't work on and we've never worked on. So somebody owns an aircraft and says, hey, I want to take it to Stevens. Great shop. They just don't work on that airplane, or at least the maintenance of it. They may be able to do other things. So you've got a listing of here's who I would advise by past experience, reviews from other people, other aircraft owners, and this is what you're advising people to do.
Right.
So on the front end, you got a buyer. You're giving them everything from piloting to advice on hangaring and insurance, and at least letting them know what they're about to get into. Take it all the way to the other side of it. I know you're not selling the aircraft, but when somebody comes back to you and says, hey, love my 350, it's time for us as a company, as a family, we're moving up into a jet. I got a plane. How do you help them along with that process with advising them where to go, listing agents and so forth? How do you do that?
Yeah, good question. Because that is one of the things that's very unique about our business. There's only a couple of companies in the whole country that don't do both, that don't represent buyers and sellers. So by not representing the seller, when that client is ready to sell his airplane, it's going to be someone else that represents him in the sale. So again, being in this industry for more than 2 decades now, say it that way. Since I was a wee little lad, I know the broker community very, very well. I know the good guys and the bad guys, the reputable companies. Sometimes it's proximity. You want to, whenever possible, have the listing agent be as close to the aircraft as possible so they can handle sales and demos. Some of it's reputation, how good of a company you are. Sometimes it's just how hot are they at the moment. Yeah. Sales is a funny thing. Now, right now in this market, everybody's hot. So
that's a different story.
Yeah. You're just looking for somebody that'll do a good job and be honest. So we recommend 3 different listing agents to our client. Let them choose the one that they want. And we're not involved in the sale of it, but we monitor that and just make sure everything goes the way that it
You're
should.
still your client's advocate no matter what.
Yeah, I'm still going to look at the controller ad and make sure the pictures are good and make sure the description's correct and make sure, I'm going to make sure that that listing agent is taking good care of my client, just like we would if we were selling the airplane for them.
Sure. Well, then it all comes back to, hey, I want to buy an aircraft, and you have found an aircraft or two that fits the bill, and then we move into the next steps.